Oh, sorry.
Hi, guys.
Let's try that again.
Okay.
Do I get to do the did it?
Yeah, do the
do.
Hello, this is Freezecast. I am your co-host, Jared, and always with me is Paul.
Hi, how you doing today?
I'm doing great. This is going to be a fun one.
Good.
First off, it is Star Wars Day.
It is. Today is May the 4th, and so May the 4th be with you, and I have my Star Wars t-shirt on today.
Why you straighten yourself up? Because
I want to see what I'm wearing. Oh yeah, I've got the classic one with Luke and Leia from the original Star Wars poster, Episode 4.
Yeah. I'm wearing a Millennium Falcon shirt. Blah.
Sweet.
So yeah, just want to get that out of the way first.
Is this because Solo's coming up in a little while?
We'll get to that later.
Okay.
That's on the list.
Weird that they didn't want to release that today, but okay.
No, there's this whole marketing thing about they wanted to give enough time for Infinity War, which we'll also get to later in this. They wanted to give that enough time to shine, even though it's already had the highest opening of all time.
Yeah, grossing over $600 million in its opening weekend.
Yeah, it's insane.
Record-breaking. I mean, there are movies that don't do that after a year. Mm-hmm. But anyway, I'm getting ahead of myself.
No, it's fine.
So yeah, big opening for them.
Big opening for them. And we are not really qualified to do anything. We're just two guys that like movies and like talking about them. And that's our qualification.
What do you mean we're not qualified? You direct things and I act in things. And I do voice acting and acting, and you
direct and
write and do other things.
And
so yeah, we're sort of qualified.
We're a sort of qualified team.
There you go. We have no connection to Hollywood. That's what you wanted to say.
Yeah,
but that doesn't mean we don't know the industry. We do know
some stuff,
some things.
We know things.
There we go. I know enough to be dangerous.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's about right.
That's about right. So getting into our first main topic of the day, since Infinity War did come out last week, I want to quickly talk about all the villains in the MCU really quick, and some of our favorites and least favorites.
Alrighty.
So, general spoiler warning for all the MCU movies, except Infinity War. Don't worry, we're not talking about Thanos.
Yeah, we're not going to spoil that. He is a villain.
He is a villain, but we're not going to talk about him yet.
That's it. Okay.
So,
all right, so are we starting at the beginning?
Yeah, I have them all written down.
Nice, because I can't remember. I'm just like, let's see, Captain America was Red Skull. But we started with...
Ironmonger.
Iron Man 1.
Yeah, right? Ironmonger / Obadiah Stane.
Obadiah Stane. You just have to sound like a hick when you say it. Obadiah Stane.
Jeff Bridges does
He
really good.
He did a really good job in that. Yeah, I loved Iron Man 1. I mean, that kicked off the whole MCU franchise, really. And if that had not been successful 10 years ago, who knows where we'd be today.
Mm-hmm. And part of that is because of the villain. He's just so well cast and has one of my favorite lines of Tony Stark built this in a cave.
But you have to do it the way he does it, because you actually do a very good impression of Obadiah Stane, I think. You do the whole thing with the voice and the whole bit.
Tony Stark built this in a cave from a box of scraps.
There you go. All right.
That kind of peaked a little bit. That's fine.
Yeah, you're going to be a hot spot on that one. That's just a recording thing.
Recording term. Point is, he's a good villain and a good way to start.
He is. And I love the setup of that with Tony Stark being out in the middle of Iraq and then getting blown up and then creating the first Iron Man suit out of necessity, really, just so he could save his own butt. And then from there says, oh, you know what, I'm going to play with this a little more, tweak it, and get it perfected. And here we are 18 movies later, he's still perfecting it.
He's still messing around.
So that's number one. Yeah, Obadiah Stane was a great villain.
Next is Abomination from The Incredible Hulk. Very forgettable.
Yeah, I'm like, did that come out? That was the same summer.
That was the same summer.
That was the same
with
summer.
With Dark Knight.
I did see that, and I remember thinking how good a job Edward Norton did in that.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway,
He wasn't interested in coming back anymore, from what I've heard. I
which
don't
is
know if
fine
that's
because
right.
I actually prefer Mark Ruffalo as the Hulk, as Bruce Banner, not as the Hulk, but as Bruce Banner. Definitely like Mark Ruffalo better. He seems to play more of the smart guy, where Edward Norton was the smart aleck guy. You know, so I can picture one of them being better at being the super genius inventor, psychiatrist, doctor guy, whatever he is, that his background is, the scientist.
And the villain for it, he starts out kind of cool because he's just this agent guy, and he takes like some serum to make him faster and stronger, and then he turns into Abomination, and it's a giant CGI battle.
Right, which had a cool battle in it, but the guy was kind of nuts. I mean, the serum made him insane. He was one of these special forces guys who would go in and just be like, oh, we're going to call you in to clear out the hostages, whatever. And he loved killing. And then when he had his serum, it became more apparent that he really loved killing. And so, yeah, he was all right as a villain. I liked him better when he was a soldier and not when he became Abomination. Abomination was a little bit over the top for me. And
Yeah,
that might have been why the Hulk movies didn't do so well.
yeah, possibly.
Possibly. I mean, that's my opinion on it. But it was good, even though it was forgettable.
It's funny because the first Hulk movie from like 2003, I think, that's not part of the MCU. But
And that was another person playing Banner again.
yeah, but they kind of make reference to it in Incredible Hulk because they don't do the backstory again, and they kind of just show like
Right.
comic panel style, like, and here's what happened. It doesn't not important.
Yeah, and it starts out in that movie, if I remember correctly, in the second Hulk, that Edward Norton's down in Brazil hanging out and hiding and being Bruce Banner in for some reason, some soda bottling company.
Which it was kind of cool just seeing him just trying to like be calm and stuff. That was
Yeah.
a cool way to open it.
That actually was my favorite part of that film, was him doing all these meditation exercises and breathing and stuff, and watching him do that and say, okay, this is how I remain calm. That, from what I remember of it, it's been so long. I did see it in theaters in 2008, but I haven't seen it since.
And then they changed that later.
Yeah.
And just said he's always angry and doesn't need to be
He's
calm.
always saying, well, that may be true, but he was still figuring out techniques to remain calm because he's always angry. All right, what's next on the list?
Iron Man 2 with Whiplash.
Whiplash.
The crazy Russian dude.
Yeah. When the show opened, I thought this is going to be really interesting and I'm going to like this character. And then he showed up with his whips that were made of the electricity thing.
Yeah.
At the, what was it, the Monaco Grand Prix.
Yeah, during the racetrack scene, which is a cool scene.
I thought it was interesting that his whips could cut race cars in half, which shows that they penetrate metal. And then when it comes to beating up Iron Man, he couldn't do it. And
Yeah, it didn't cut through the suit.
I'm like, he cut Iron Man's car in half. He had that Rolls Royce that Happy is the name.
Yeah.
Happy drives onto the track to save him and say, here's the suit. And then he whips the suit, and it's like, okay, yeah, there's some electricity going through it, but it didn't do any damage. And that was a little disappointing to me because he was ripping up every single thing. And then it just got comical after that.
Because then he meets with the secondary villain, Justin Hammer.
And I thought they did a great job with Hammer. That character was just so fun because he's so outrageous and he's strutting around on stage going, I am Tony Stark, even though he's not. It's like, I can be the same showman that he can be, but he doesn't have the charisma to back it up.
Or tech or anything.
No, he's just an idea guy and his ideas fall flat. And that proved true when Iron Patriot first comes in.
Yeah.
Sorry, that's not what his name is.
War Machine.
War Machine, yeah. And he outfits it with all these weapons, and half of them don't work.
Yeah, I love at the end where he has like the one-shot missile thing hits right at the Whiplash suit, and it just bounces off and goes ding.
Yeah, it's like that was it. That didn't do anything. Although the final battle in there against all the drones, I thought that was very cool.
Yeah,
when they first get in what is called the hot box. And it's like, we're in the kill zone. We're in the hot box. And it's like, oh, that's not a good place to be. And then the two iron suits have this big fight against the drones.
So that film does have moments, but the villains are kind of weak in it.
Yeah, the story was more of a comic book to that one.
Yeah. Well,
Where-
that and it was also a lot of setup for future, like, namely the Avengers. It was a lot of, like, hey, Nick Fury's here, and he's gonna talk to you and evaluate you for joining the team. The
and then
team
tell you you're not
movie.
good enough.
The team movie coming up soon.
Yeah, there was some setup for that. Yeah, Iron Man 2 is definitely the weakest of the trilogy that they've done so far on Iron Man.
Yeah.
And I do like Iron Man. I think Robert Downey Jr. does a fantastic job.
Definitely.
And if it wasn't for him, like I said, the franchise wouldn't have really taken off.
Not at all. Next is Loki from
From Thor.
and the Avengers, yeah.
Loki's a hoot. I love Loki.
Loki's great.
Because you never know what he's going to do. And you're thinking, it's got to be a trick. Don't trust him. Don't trust him. And he plays that so well of being the nice guy who will stab you in the back right when he's talking to you. It's like, I'll come up and give you a big hug and then stab you in the back. And I love that about Loki. And maybe it's Tom Hiddleston that just brings that character to life. But he's phenomenal.
Yeah, he brings a lot to the films. And some people even say he's the best villain that they've had.
Yeah, because he's so unpredictable. Like I said, you never know what side he's going to choose.
That he's just fun to watch.
He is, yeah, because he's just a nut. And it's like, I am the great grand whatever. And so he's fun. In fact, in the first Thor movie, I thought he was better than Thor.
Yeah.
And the whole weird love story with Natalie Portman was kind of off. It was like, you know he's an alien, right? I don't care if it's Chris Hemsworth. He's an alien.
Yeah. And then the secondary villain for that one is the Destroyer that shows up for that one scene.
Which
it's
was
the
a
big
cool
metal
scene.
suit.
Yeah.
And it shoots a laser out of its mouth.
Which was very well done. And they made it almost indestructible. Almost. And I heard that they actually built a whole town just for that.
Yeah.
For that scene. I mean,
Kenneth Branagh.
it's kind of in the middle of nowhere.
Let's build a town.
Which was cool. I thought that was great because then you get to destroy the whole town, which they did. So it had some great effects in there. And Kenneth Branagh, again, great director. He's very classically trained and does a lot of Shakespeare. So he was a great fit for that Thor movie.
Yeah, especially with how Thor speaks and his culture. They have that really classical,
Yes.
like...
Does mother knoweth thou wearest her drapes? Sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself. That was not from that film.
It's fine.
That's a Tony Stark quote.
Captain America, the first Avenger.
I loved Captain America. I thought
That first movie is fantastic.
when it first came out, I was like, oh, it's going to be weird because it's talking about actual events from World War II. But then they made it sci-fi, and there was this whole division of Hydra that never existed in real life.
Yeah.
But again, the villain, Red Skull in there.
Red Skull.
I thought he was great, but it's the same villain they had from The Matrix.
Yeah, Hugo Weaving.
And he's a wonderful actor. So you can't really go wrong when you put Hugo Weaving in there and make him the bad guy and say, okay, he's going to go off the deep end just a little bit.
And just start killing his own guys and stuff.
It's like I'm going beyond what the agenda's supposed to call for because I'm just that crazy.
I'm that guy.
I'm committed to whatever the bit is. Yeah. And then there was the secondary villain of Dr. Zolo.
Yeah, Zolom.
And he was fun too. He was kind of dorky, but you kind of expect that because it's like, oh, he's a rocket scientist.
One of my favorite scenes from that is where he gets captured and then Tommy Lee Jones is interrogating him. And he like just is eating a steak in front of him. It's like, you can talk and I can give you some steak. Or we're going to just sit here quietly.
Yeah. Well, it's great because he first brings it in and says, I'm going to give you this. And he's like, I don't want it. And he's like, fine, I'll eat it. I'm not letting a good steak go to waste.
Yeah, it's a fun scene. It's really silly, but it's a fun scene.
It is. And then when the action really takes off, because they've got Captain America just doing this dorky song and dance to sell war bonds, that was like, oh, this is humiliating. But when he actually gets to go into action and prove his worth, that's when it really takes off. And then he reunites with Bucky, his old childhood friend. That was fun.
Yeah, that's a fun one.
It is. So the villains in that, I really like those. Red Skull, I think it was a little intense when he revealed his true self after having the serum. And,
when he takes off the
Red Skull.
The Mission Impossible-esque mask.
Right, yeah. I'm going to pull away the plastic face mask and show you what's underneath.
Yeah.
but it still worked, and it was a good film.
Yeah. We kind of talked about Avengers a little bit. Is there anything else you want to add to that one?
I don't know. That was Loki being nuts again. Props to the whole cast because they're always fun to see.
Yeah, and for that being like one of the first team-up superhero movies of all time, like one of the first, besides like the Fantastic Four and the X-Men, it was really good.
It was really good. And again, it was nice that Loki was the villain because his comeback was even better. And the way he mind tapped or whatever, mind controlled Barton, Hawkeye, was really cool. And I like that they were able to take him one direction and then bring him back. Mm-hmm. And then the fact that Loki was on the carrier playing everybody against themselves.
Yeah, those were some fun scenes. Yeah, those were some fun scenes as well.
Samuel Jackson points that out.
Yeah,
and says, "As Nick Fury, he's like, how come Loki's the only one that actually really wants to be here?"
Yeah,
and it's like, well, it's because he's up to something. But the whole discovery of the Hydra type weapons that Captain America makes and freaks out about, and then Banner and Iron Man, Tony Stark, are figuring out some stuff with the radiation things. Mm-hmm. It was cool.
Just destroying New York is just fun to watch.
Glad we don't live in New York. They get hit hard a lot.
In these, like every movie's like, I'll just attack New York.
Yeah.
So that's phase 1. Those are the first 6 movies. Phase 2 starts with Iron Man 3.
Iron Man 3. I really liked Iron Man 3 because it gave you a more in-depth look at Tony Stark.
Yeah, especially after the events of the Avengers. I feel like he gets the worst of that, effects from those.
Yeah, the PTSD that he goes through, especially having carried a nuclear weapon through a wormhole.
Yeah.
And then barely making it back.
Because Cap's a soldier, so he's fine making those tough calls and things. Hulk is not Bruce Banner, so he doesn't really remember. Like, those are separated.
And his cognitive powers are not quite there. It's it's like, I've just got to beat stuff up. That was cool for me.
And then Thor is just destroying aliens. So it was kind of cool to have him be like, hey, this was a big deal. I'm not handling this well. And it was great.
Yeah. And I like the part where he freaks out in the restaurant when the kid draws the picture and shows it to him. And it's like, what was it like after New York? And he just freaks out and has a panic attack and doesn't know what's happening to him. Because he's the kind of guy who would never have a panic attack.
Yeah, he's the cool best friend.
Yeah. So his character arc in that was really good. Mm-hmm. Very amazing. And again, props to Robert Downey Jr. for doing such an amazing job. But that's what you get when you hire one of the world's best actors.
Yeah. How'd you feel about Mandarin?
Mandarin, I liked the character of the Mandarin, but it was not within the comic book realm. And I know a lot of people were upset by that.
A lot of people were mad because it's like, oh, Ben Kingsley.
Ben Kingsley's the Mandarin. It's like, yeah, that's believable. He's this evil presence.
It's like, oh, he's not the right ethnicity, I think. It's like, but it's Ben Kingsley, and he looks great in all the promo art and all that stuff.
He had the voice, and I am a teacher.
Yeah, it was great stuff. And then, people hate that movie just because of that twist where he's, hi, I'm Trevor
Slattery. Yeah.
Trevor Slattery.
They gave me a boat and a whole bunch of drugs and other things. Yes. I did like Guy Pearce as the secondary villain. And it was awkward that he was controlling the Mandarin. But when it made sense, it made sense.
Yeah.
And one of my favorite battle scenes in that, well, it's not even a battle. It's when all the people are on Air Force One.
Oh.
And they all get sucked out, and then Iron Man has to come along and save them.
Yeah.
And he's playing Grab Your Monkey and just electrocute them all so they can all land together safely with 20-odd people falling out of an airplane.
Yeah.
Great scene.
It's stuff like that which makes these films so just fun. It's just these small memorable moments in them that just bring it all home.
Yeah. What I didn't like about that was that ending battle where Tony brings in 40-odd Iron Man suits.
All the suits.
Yeah, I mean, it was cool watching all the suits in action, but I think they made the villains, these modified
fire guys.
Yeah, whatever people that light up and become fire.
Yeah.
That was a little over the top for me. because that battle was so fake looking. I mean, it was really cool. It was great, great special effects.
But it's all.
But the villains were so indestructible.
Yeah.
And so it was hard to say, well, how do you kill this guy? I mean, you can cut his arm off and it grows back.
Yeah.
And I get that was the whole point of it. But it was just a little far-fetched for me and too comic booky.
A little bit. I can see
Nothing
that.
wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that. I thought it was odd that they brought in Pepper to do that. And then they were able to cure her.
Yeah.
At the end
Like
and say,
immediately after.
Yeah, it's like, couldn't you have done that for everybody else too?
No, because they were bad.
But they were bad, okay.
They were bad. We had to kill them.
But I do like Guy Pearce in that.
Yeah.
And he, again, another phenomenal actor. And he did really well playing the villain and being the dorky, wimpy guy at the beginning.
Yeah.
Who's meeting Tony Stark in an elevator. And then at the end, he's this presence.
Yeah.
He's just in control of everything and everyone.
Yeah.
Including the Mandarin.
He plays that switch really well.
He does.
Next one is my least favorite MCU movie, I think. Thor 2, The Dark World.
The Dark World. Now, I like that. I know it's not everybody's favorite, but I actually enjoyed it. And the Dark Elves, they're kind of a weird creature.
They are.
With an odd history, odd past of just... I don't understand why a being wants to destroy everything in its path. I want world domination. I understand that.
But he just wants to blow up everything.
But it's like, I just want to destroy everything. It's like, but then there's nothing left to rule. What's the point? I don't understand that mentality, and maybe that's because I'm not a supervillain. I don't know. But I never got it. It's like, I understand taking over the world. I mean, and cutting universes here for just a second. I'm a huge James Bond fan. And so you see these classic James Bond villains saying, I'm going to take over the world so I can have control. Yeah, I get that. And Bond has to go in and stop them. So for a dark elf to show up in this MCU and say, I just want to destroy everything. It's like, why? Were you not loved enough as a child? What? Your dad didn't play catch with you? Your mom told you were ugly?
No, but they give him,
what is
they give him a 10-minute backstory about how they fought him off before and then they had to banish him. And
Right. It's like now the Dark Elves are banished. It's like, so if they hadn't been banished, we wouldn't care because they wouldn't have existed. You know, it's like all of Thor's world and Asgard wouldn't exist.
But my problem with them is they're just so forgettable.
They really are.
I can't remember the main guy's name, like, at all.
No, I just remember they have this big weird ship that crashes in London.
Yeah.
And then things go flashing around. Again, great special effects, especially with the anti-gravity things that were going on.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, near the beginning of the film.
Yeah. And then they bring back the classic cast, which is good. Well, mostly I'm thinking of the old professor guy. What is his name? Skarsgård?
Yeah, that's the actor, I think.
Skellen Skarsgård. Yeah, I'm like thinking Peter. I'm like, no, that's his son. Skellen Skarsgård is the old Norwegian professor who knows all this Nordic history and knows everything about Asgard and Thor. I like him. He's a cool guy.
Yeah.
Thor himself.
He gets better.
He does get better. And again, Loki comes back.
Yeah.
And now they're teaming up against the Dark Elves. And so
but he still turns on him.
But he still turns on him. And that's classic Tom Hiddleston for the character. I mean, it's like, no. Tom Hiddleston does not turn on people. Loki turns on people. And I like that. And then he fakes his own death at the end, which was fun to see. I say that a lot, but it was. It was cool seeing him do that because then Odin dies or whatever. Odin goes into his coma.
Or like...
And then Loki takes over the throne as Odin. I thought, okay, yeah, I can believe that.
Yeah.
So the Dark Elves sucked. They really did. But you got to go somewhere, and you got to make it interesting.
Yeah.
And again, you're building up. I think it had some great moments in it. But you're right, the villain is forgettable.
I feel part of that also has to do with you've started with Loki, and you can't get much better than that. From any of the films, it's hard to get better than that.
It is, yeah. So you've got to bring him back, and you've got to make him turn again.
Yeah.
It's like, I need your help, and yet I don't trust you.
Mm-hmm. Then we're moving into one of my favorite films. Winter Soldier is fantastic, and I love it. And it's perfect in almost every way. It has flaws, I know, but it's awesome, and I love it.
It does, and I love that they brought back all the cast. I mean, it's almost an Avengers movie.
Almost.
Because you've got Black Widow, and then you introduce Falcon.
Yeah. And then
Fury's
you've got
Nick
in there.
Fury in there, too, yeah. And his whole chase down, I thought that was great.
The
That
car chase?
car chase at the beginning where he's getting away from the DC cops and he's got his autopilot thing in the car, and then the Winter Soldier comes up and just blows
Which
the
is
car
one
up.
of the best introductions of the villain in these films. He's just standing in the middle of the street with a grenade launcher and just blows up the car, and it's awesome, and I just love it. And then the music comes in, and it's awesome. I love that film. I'm sorry.
And even it shows you that this villain is fearless, and he's a force definitely to be reckoned with, because he shoots his grenade and then he just steps to one side. He
just
doesn't even
steps
run
out
out
of
of
the
the way. It's just like
He just takes a step.
it's like I'm just barely going to move because this thing might come flying past me at 90 miles an hour upside down on fire. And he's like, yeah, I can take that. It set him up to be this really intimidating villain.
He's awesome. And then Pierce as the secondary villain.
Robert Redford.
Robert Redford
Yeah.
as the secretary.
Which was an interesting twist because he turns out to be Hydra and you don't expect that. And that's really the first time Hydra gets unveiled in the
Modern
frontier. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because we know it from the first Captain America with Red Skull.
Yeah.
But then it reappears and it's like, oh yes, if you've been watching the TV series, The Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., then you've got more of this Hydra background. Mm-hmm. But it's really the first time we see it resurface.
Yeah. I'm trying to... It's really cool, too, because he doesn't think of himself as evil, the secretary. He's like, hey, peace isn't an achievement. Like, that's a quote he said, or like Nick Fury quotes him from that.
Yeah.
So he believes what he's doing is right. And he never, at one point, he's like, today the world needs change. It just needs a little push to one side. He never says what side, though. He thinks he's doing good, and that's what makes him great.
He does, and it's like we can recognize these threats based on whatever their preferences are. It's like you check out your social media profiles, and it's like, yeah, we can profile people and figure out which way they're going to go to see if they're good or evil, and then we can eliminate them before they get there. So it's an interesting take on prejudging people.
Yeah.
As far as I know you eventually will do wrong.
It's just a good movie.
It is just a good movie. It had a lot of great action scenes. There was some great fights between the Winter Soldier and Captain America.
And it's kind of funny because these directors came from like comedy shows. Like the thing they've done before, they directed episodes of Community and Arrested Development.
Yeah.
And that's what they were known for before that. And this was their first like Marvel film.
Which is amazing. How did you ever get these guys on there? But they did such a great... Yeah, they knocked it out of the park. Such a great job on that.
Next is Guardians of the Galaxy with Blue Man Ronan.
Blue Man Ronan is the villain. Well, he's really hardcore. I mean, he definitely wants to destroy everything in his path. But he was on a personal vendetta. Mm-hmm. I mean, part of it was Thanos came in and said, you go and do this for me, and I'll make you ruler over whatever, right? But then he got to the extreme, and he just went too far once he figured out, hey, there's an Infinity Stone involved in this.
Uh-huh.
And it was weird because half of his people didn't seem to care.
Yeah,
no
one seemed to care.
He was just like this rogue agent out on his own going, I'm going to go destroy half the world and take over and enslave people because I can.
And yeah, the rest of his speech is like, hey, he's just going to do whatever. I mean, I'm not going to try and stop him. He's just, he's Ronin, so...
Yeah, and then, I mean, originally, Thanos had sent him out and said, you go get me the Infinity Stone and bring it back to me.
Yeah.
And he was like, well, I got it. Why would I give it to you? Which I'm sure a lot of people would think.
Yeah.
It's like winning the lottery, it's like, here, you go buy me my ticket and I'll split it with you. And then you go, well, I bought the ticket and I have the money and
I'm holding it right now.
This one's mine, not yours. Yours was the ticket that lost, It's that kind of mentality.
Yeah.
I guess it's just the greed and the power takes over. It says, okay, I'm going to kick your butt.
But then the rest of that movie is really good. Even if the villain's not the best.
He was over the top. He was far-fetched for me.
Yeah, and he seemed really like one tone most of it.
He was. He had no layers to his personality. It was just one. Yeah.
Very quiet and just like, oh yes, I killed people, and I'm gonna kill you.
Yeah.
And that was pretty much his.
He's kind of a mooding, broody teenager in that. I mean, I know he's not, but it's like Oh, I got sent to my room. I'm just going to hang out here and be mad at the world. He's like, okay, well, the world didn't hurt you, but you're going to go hurt the world back. I don't know, I can say that. I've got teenagers. However, the Guardians, they were great.
They were great. And the music's great. And that's a fun ride.
It is a fun ride.
It's a fun one.
And it was interesting to get, we got a lot of backstory on Star-Lord.
Yeah.
And yet there were holes where it's like, well, how come he can do that? How come he can hold the Infinity Stone?
For as long as he did. Yeah.
It opened up the gateway to other things and other questions, which was nice. I liked that movie on the whole.
Yeah, and then it's also great because it opens up more of that cosmic area, that the space side of Marvel. So they can open up more to that area and have more fun space adventures, which some people really want to see.
Well, there's so much that takes place in space. I mean, we're not there yet, are we?
No.
We're coming up on Doctor Strange, and he's able to move time and space and realizes that we're not alone in the universe. And so it opens up the gateway for that, even though he's down the road a little ways. So, yeah, Guardians was cool, especially since they recognized that Peter Quill was from Earth. Mm-hmm. But nobody wants to go near them because they're not worth it.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, we've got our own stuff going on out here in space. We don't need to mess with Earth. Mm-hmm. Which was also kind of nice because a lot of those types of films, and I can't think of anything off the top of my head, but it's like, hey, let's go attack Earth because it's there.
Independence Day.
Yeah. We're not threatening you, but hey, let's go attack Earth. We'll just take it before these guys get to the tech that we have out here in space.
Yeah. Pretty much every alien invasion movie.
Yeah, pretty much every alien invasion.
Next one is Age of Ultron, which I really like Ultron. And part of it's just because James Spader is super intimidating with the voice he puts to it.
He does. Yeah, James Spader is an intimidating guy on his own. You watch anything he's done, and it's just like, yeah, this guy owns the room when he walks in. And he has that voice that's just so, I don't know, it makes you cringe. It's a cool voice, but you're kind of creeped out by it at the same time.
Yeah, not a bad cringe. I want to point that out.
No, it's a good cringe. You're like, oh, James Spader, this is going to be awesome.
Uh-huh.
But you're like, but I don't know if I should be friends with him because he intimidates me so much.
But then he's so friendly to people sometimes, too. Like, he cuts off Claw's arm. He's like, oh, I am so sorry. I'm sure that'll be okay. Like,
right. Yeah. Yeah, he apologized for it. It's like, oh, my bad. I forgot how strong I am.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that you have weaknesses that I don't. And yeah. And then he turns around and he's like, oh, I'll just pay you.
Yeah.
Because that's what you want anyway. Here, I made you a billionaire, so you shouldn't be mad at me anymore. It'll be okay.
It's okay. Yeah, just Ultron's a cool villain, and I really like him.
He is. I thought he made too many robots. I mean, considering how they were saying at the beginning, especially with Captain America, that vibranium coming from Wakanda is so rare. Rarest element on Earth. And then here is Ultron
I don't think
of
all of those robots are vibranium. I think only he is and Vision is.
But he made the big spike thing in the...
and that too. But
so,
the
yeah,
other
robots destroy the
aren't.
Earth, and it's like, well, you ended up with a ton of this stuff, considering it's extremely rare. And yeah, maybe that's Wakanda saying, hey, we don't want to let out this big secret that we have this mine.
Yeah.
But that one was like, well, it's this rare element. Why have you got so much of it?
Yeah, I know.
There was tons of it, because that spike thing inside the city of Sokovia, not Wachovia. Yeah.
Wakanda Ovia.
Wakanda Ovia. Sokovia, yeah, that was so huge.
Yeah.
Like, but what a great story. Again, it's like, I've got to destroy the world in order to save it. Mm-hmm. Which he got from Tony Stark, so that was interesting. And it led up to the introduction of Vision.
And Scarlet Witch.
And the Scarlet Witch. Too bad that Quicksilver didn't make it.
And then Quicksilver dies.
Yeah.
Which, a lot of that is just for licensing reasons with Fox.
Because he's part of the X-Men universe.
Yeah.
Which is a Marvel product, but not licensed.
Yeah, so I think they made a deal where it's like, hey, can we use Quicksilver in one movie? And I think they said okay with that. I'm not 100% on that.
Because when the character of Quicksilver shows up in one of the X-Men films, he's saving the day and running as fast as he can. It's like, you can't dodge a bullet? You do that all the time. I've seen at least 10 different areas where you've dodged bullets, and now all of a sudden you can't.
Yeah.
It's too bad.
But Age of Ultron is a fun one, and
it is.
Keep using that. It's fun.
It is.
These
fun.
movies are fun. Just watch them.
They're great movies. No, they're very entertaining, and they draw you in, and they have a nice arc.
Mm-hmm. Next
very
is
well
Ant-Man.
Ant-Man
with Paul Rudd.
Paul Rudd is a funny guy. He's been around for a long time, very funny, and shows up on a lot of comedic shows. So when they cast him as Ant-Man, I was like, which way are they going to go with this? But he did a very good job of being a serious criminal in a comedic element of the film.
Yeah, I liked the direction they took it, where it's like, this is a superhero movie. It's also a heist film. We gotta steal the other suit.
Yeah.
From the bad guy.
From the bad guy whose name I can't remember again.
No, I can't remember it, but...
but again, that's what you
Yellow Jacket is what he goes by at the end.
Yeah. And he was a good villain.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't seen that actor. I can't remember his name, but I've only seen him in a couple of things.
Mm-hmm.
He's always good. He always plays the character well. And I like that he played the villain in this one.
I like how he played it, like, kind of unhinged, too. Like, he starts succeeding, and he's making the suit work and stuff. And then he gets super suspicious of everybody just because he thinks they're gonna steal they're gonna take away his success.
Wildly paranoid, yeah.
So it's like no one's even in the room, and he's like freaking out, going like, "Oh, there's someone there."
Yeah, but it's funny because he's out to make as much money as he can selling weapons. It's like I want to, and then he realizes, well, wait a minute, I'd be better off if I kept this for myself.
Yeah,
especially because he has a prototype. Mm-hmm. It's like if you do have hundreds of these things, yeah, you can sell them and give them away. But this is just one of a kind. I think I'm going to keep that for me.
Yeah.
I did like the shrinking stuff too. They were able to shrink and grow stuff. And Michael Douglas's character of Dr. Pym, he was fun. Again, a cool character who has humor to himself.
Not in the comic book. In the comics, he's abusive to his wife.
Oh, that's too bad.
And I think that's why they changed it. I was like, no, he's not Ant-Man. This guy's Ant-Man.
There you go.
I'm surprised that film turned out as well as it did, because they had a directorial switch in it. It was Edgar Wright was originally going to direct that one, known for Baby Driver, Scott Pilgrim versus the World, and stuff like that.
Which would have been a good comedic take, because those are types of movies that have, again, a lot of action, a lot of draw you into the character and the story, and yet they have humorous pieces scattered throughout to lighten the mood and make it all the more enjoyable. Enjoyable.
Then he had creative differences with Marvel, so he just left. He just went, nope.
Nope.
And
I'm out of here.
They got a new director for it, so I'm surprised that it worked out as well as it did.
But again, you gotta credit the cast as well as the crew. The director definitely does a lion's share of the work, but without the right casting, it doesn't pull off.
Which that director's coming back for Ant-Man 2, and he's like, I'm excited because now I get to make a whole movie instead of getting like, hey, here's the script Edgar Wright wrote, go with it.
And he did a good job writing the script. To say Paul Rudd is typically a comedian, so it's interesting to see him take a more serious role, even though he's interspersed humor.
Yeah.
But again, I really liked Ant-Man.
And then that wraps up Phase 2. We're in our final 6 movies before we move on to our main topic.
Okay.
This is taking a while, but it's fun. We're having fun. Civil War.
Civil War, again, these Captain America movies.
They're fantastic, and I love them.
Yeah, it's like you bring everybody back. You basically call it an Avengers movie, but for some reason Captain America is the title character.
Yeah.
So this time he's teaming up with his friend, Bucky Barnes, who is the Winter Soldier. But there's still some conflict there.
Yeah.
And then they've got the whole Sokovia Accords, which surprises me that Tony Stark would be on board with, hey, let's have a set of rules to govern when the Avengers get to go out and work and do things, and what dictates whether they should go and help somebody or not.
But you can see why.
Call. I can see why, but I'm surprised that Tony Stark's on board.
Yeah.
Except for that scene at MIT.
Yeah, there's that, but then there's also that he had the PTSD before, and I think he's like, hey, this will keep me safe as well.
That could be.
I feel that that's part of it. I think. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I just get that Tony Stark as a character is quite rebellious and does his own thing. It's like, don't tell me what to do. I'll go do what I want to do. Which is interesting because Captain America is the soldier. He's the one that's used to taking orders. And he's the one that should be saying, oh, I will follow the direction that these accords give. So I was surprised at how those two played against each other because it's not what I expected. I mean, Colonel Rhodey, who plays... blanking out again.
War Machine?
War Machine, yeah. Again, he's a soldier, and so he's like, okay, I'm on the side of the Accords.
Yeah.
Which makes sense, because he's used to taking orders. He can't always see the big picture, but he trusts that his leaders know what they're doing, the generals and everybody.
Yeah.
So I can see him taking that side, and then he's also Tony's friend, so he backs him up. And maybe he helps convince Tony, too. But it's interesting where the split happens.
Yeah.
Although it's not surprising of who sides with whom.
Oh, really?
Yeah, well, I mean, Captain America, you're like, okay, so he gets Ant-Man, that makes sense. He gets Winter Soldier, well, that's his best friend.
Yeah.
Who he's trying to save, so that makes sense. He gets... Falcon.
Who's also his friend.
Yeah, and Falcon doesn't really know the rest of the team. It's like, yeah, at the end of the other one, he kind of... It's like, oh, here, we're going to introduce you to everybody in the Avengers, and you're going to hang out in the main hallway or whatever, the new base they've got. So he's getting to know people, but again, Cap brought him in. So it makes sense that he's going to be loyal to Cap, especially when they went against Pierce and everybody else who were being bad before. And so he's kind of used to that. You know, it's like, these guys might be all Hydra, but to me they looked like they were S.H.I.E.L.D. So he's going to back up Cap no matter what. So Falcon's no surprise there.
And then Scarlet Witch.
And Scarlet Witch. Yeah, Hawkeye's not really a surprise either. He doesn't really care for Tony.
Not really.
It's kind of like, this guy's a wild playboy and just does whatever.
And I could see that with him as well, because he just wants to spend time with his family, and he doesn't want to be kept getting called out for stuff.
Right, so it's like, you call me out when you absolutely need me, but don't need me. And so, yeah, he lines up with Cap, and then Scarlet Witch, I don't know how she got to choose the way she chose.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I honestly
felt
she would kind of go with Tony a little bit, because she felt bad for blowing up the building in Lagos. Right.
And then it was her brother who was killed. I mean, originally she's like, oh, well, I hate Tony Stark because one of his bombs landed in our house and was sitting there for a week before we got saved, her and her brother. And that's why they start testing and doing the experiments and become who they are. So for Scarlet Witch to be Scarlet Witch, she doesn't like Tony, but then she gets to respect him and say, oh, you're not such a bad guy.
Yeah.
So it's kind of weird because she's divided. Maybe that's it. Maybe she's still got a lot of resentment towards him, and that's why she sides with Captain America. Or that she just thinks Captain America is so clean and pure, where Tony's not. He's definitely a darker type of person and personality.
But the main villain of the film is Zemo. The Sokovian soldier.
Intelligence officer.
Yeah, whose family dies and just wants to get his revenge. And he plays it really calm. He's really collected. And he does great.
And he plans everything. I mean, it's amazing, because that's his whole plan, is to create civil war, because he realizes, I can't tear these people apart myself.
Yeah.
I can fire nuclear weapons at them and they still come out of it. So...
the only people that can defeat him are each other.
Yeah, and for him to recognize that, it's...
Yeah.
He does the part well as a villain, but I'm thinking, man, get a hobby, get a life. You know, it's like, this has been...
plan out everything.
This has been 3 years since your family died, and instead of moving on, you're planning this enormous revenge, including blowing up the Sokovia Accords and killing King Chakotay of Wakanda, which is why we get to introduced to
Black Panther. And Spider-Man.
Yeah. So
good film.
It is a good film. They brought all the characters together.
Brought them all, man.
And again, amazing to bring that many people, that many egos as actors and as actual superheroes together and have it work so well.
And again, those are the guys that directed Winter Soldier and Infinity War.
And they did a great job. It's no wonder they keep bringing them back.
Yeah.
So yeah, for that villain, I liked him because he played everybody.
Yeah.
And it's a clever villain, and I like clever villains.
Yeah. Next one is an okay villain. Doctor Strange with Dormammu and Mads Mikkelsen's Caecilius.
Caecilius is a fun character.
I had to look that up because
I can't remember how to pronounce his name.
Yeah.
Caecilius. Yeah, I can see that. You go into this almost religion, and you're working away at it, and then you realize that the person who's leading it doesn't follow all the rules that everybody else is expected to.
Yeah.
So I can see him being tainted by that and saying, well, how come you get the power and I don't? Mm-hmm. How Dormammu got to him and made him a follower, I don't know.
Yeah.
He looked it up and said, oh, I interpret that I can have eternal life. That's a cool thing. I don't know how he got twisted and off the rails, but I do understand how he lost faith in the Ancient One. So I like him as a character. I like him as the villain. Mm-hmm. And he had some great followers and, again, amazing fight scenes. Some of the best choreographed fight scenes in any film. Mm-hmm. And the special effects. I mean, considering everything was on a green screen when they shot it.
But most of it, yeah.
You see buildings being torn apart and scaffoldings falling, and then just little walkways appear and disappear, and things are falling all through space. Wow.
Yeah, especially the mirror dimension scene in New York.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my gosh. The CGI looks flawless there, with all the buildings flipping around, and them just, like, fighting, and then just random buildings just come flying by them. It looks great. It's
amazing.
Super great.
Yeah, and I'm like, wow, I thought Inception was cool when they did that and bent the buildings. It was, but they obviously learned a lot from that technology and said, okay, we can take it even further. Mm-hmm. To keep track of all that, I'm like, who does the guy have to be to go, okay, now this isn't really happening, but we're falling, and then we're landing, and then we're falling, and then we're landing, and it's up to the CGI guys to build all that in, but the actors have to do it, and the director has to know who's going where.
When's going what, who's going where.
Yeah, incredible filming there.
And then Dormammu as the secondary villain, who doesn't show up for the last, 15 minutes.
Yeah, the secondary villain's just weird, because it's just this giant face in space. And I get that he has some power, but I'm not sure what the power is, because he's just this head.
He had control over that dimension, I think, because he was able to, make spikes appear.
Right,
and,
so
throw
and it's like,
planets, I guess? I don't know.
I'm going to throw a planet at you.
I don't know what they were.
He had weird sticky stuff and stuff on fire and hailstorms and spikes and all kinds of crazy stuff. And I'm going, well, no wonder you want to take over the universe. You're kind of stuck. You're just this floating head. So you might as well explore as much as you can. Mm-hmm. He was an all right villain.
Yeah.
He wasn't a great villain.
Caecilius is better.
He's way
by
better.
A little bit.
And I love that Doctor Strange put him in a time loop and said, I'm just going to torture you. You can kill me forever, and it doesn't matter because you're never leaving this moment. That was a great way to defeat him.
Yeah. That's also just a good movie in general.
It is. And when it came out, I said, this is one of my favorites. It's in the top.
Yeah.
Because I'm a big Tony Stark fan, and I liked Iron Man 1 and Iron Man 3. And this one was right up there for me.
Yeah.
With those originals from Iron Man.
It's great. And I love him, Doctor Strange's character throughout the film, how he changes. Some of it's very subtly, and then there's also those bigger changes.
He had a great arc.
Yeah, it's great.
Going from being this arrogant, know-it-all doctor to being more humbled and then learning how to use his newfound talents.
Yeah. Next is Guardians of the Galaxy 2 with Star-Lord's dad.
Yeah, that one didn't do it for me.
Really?
I could go without seeing that one. That one's a weird one. I
Really?
mean, there were aspects of the film that were really good.
I really like that one. It's not as good as the first one, in my opinion, but I like it, and I like Ego as the villain.
Yeah, it was just weird. I mean, it's like, oh, I'm this god, and I've got my own little planet, and I'm going to build stuff. And then, again, I'm going to take over the universe and kill it. It's like, I don't get that.
I think he just wanted to make it his.
Because it's like, I've got all these little flowers that are going to bloom, and then just this weird foam gel stuff takes over the city, basically covers and kills everything. And then what? Then he's still alone. If he succeeded, he'd still be alone in the universe. And it's like, well, what was the point of that? So it was a weird story to me. but again, aspects were really good, and the action scenes were very good. The ending is wonderful.
Yeah.
I liked the whole thing with the blue guy with the fin on his head.
Yondu.
Yondu, yeah. Yondu's had a great story in there where he gets betrayed by his crew. They all mutiny him, and then he kills them.
Yeah.
So there was some really cool stuff in there with the effects again, and I like Yondu, and Yondu showed more of a character growth and arc from that, where he ends up being more of a dad to Peter Quill than Ego ever did.
Yeah.
So there were aspects I liked, but overall it was kind of a meh film to me.
Oh, really? Okay, I liked it.
I didn't like Ego as the villain. Because
I kind of did.
The villain was just weak sauce.
I kind of liked him.
Okay.
Just because he was super manipulative and just... It's Kurt Russell.
I know, but it's
Great.
like...
It's good.
It's Kurt Russell, but it's like, yeah, but he's kind of losing a step as he gets older. He's still a cool guy. He is still a cool guy.
Spider-Man Homecoming.
That show was awesome.
With the Vulture.
The Vulture, yeah. And again...
Man.
Great
That's
villain,
awesome.
Great villain. But you have an actor who can really play that well. Mm-hmm. And Michael Keaton did such a phenomenal job in that.
Yeah.
So it didn't matter whether he had the suit on or not.
He was intimidating. And he was just a guy, too. Like, there's nothing super about him.
Right. So he doesn't have any extra special powers. He just has access to some high-tech stuff. Mm-hmm. So for him to be a villain, I really liked him as the villain.
Yeah.
Because he was likable and hateable at the same time. And you weren't sure. He didn't have the psychoticness that some villains do.
No, he was just in it to support his family.
Yeah, it's like, I'm doing this for all the right reasons. I'm doing it. I'm breaking the law. I'm doing things illegally for the right reasons. It's like stealing a loaf of bread for your family when you're hungry. Mm-hmm. It's like, well, would you do it? Until you're in that situation, you don't know.
Yeah.
And he was forced into this situation where he had invested millions of dollars to do a salvage operation that they kicked him out of. And he's like,
almost immediately.
now what do I do? I'm bankrupt. I got nothing. I'm going to lose everything. Mm-hmm. And he chose instead to make some new tech and make some money doing it.
Yeah.
And his character was great. And I like at the end, too, when Peter is dating his daughter and he shows up at the house and Peter realizes who he is.
Yeah.
Before he does, before Michael Keaton realizes who Spider-Man is. And that whole conversation with, you're going to take my daughter out, you're going to have a nice time, but not too nice a time. I take care of my family. I'm threatening you in a non-threatening way.
Yeah.
It's very relatable as a dad.
Yeah. And I love it how they're just driving and it's just the camera's focused on him most of the time, of Michael Keaton.
Yeah.
Just figuring this out slowly. Going like, I know your voice from somewhere. Have we met before?
Right.
It's like, oh, he's on the team. Oh yeah. That was scary in DC. I wasn't on the elevator. Oh, you weren't, huh?
Yeah, and he's piecing it together.
Interesting.
But it's funny because Peter recognizes him right off the bat, Peter Parker, and he's like, oh, what am I going to do? Yeah. And so you can see his nervousness, really well played by Tom Holland.
Yeah.
Being nervous, but if he'd have been cool...
And I probably could have worked.
Yeah, it's like you're supposed to be 17 years old. It's like, how cool can you be when you realize this is the master villain you've been chasing?
Yeah.
And so he's all nervous. It's like, but if you'd have been cool and not been so nervous, he might not have figured it out.
Maybe. I don't know. It would have been a close call, I think.
Because he kept giving stuff away like, oh, I know who you are, and I'm not going to say it. And that's what kind of gave it away.
Yeah.
But the villain in that, yeah, he was fantastic.
Lucky for your pal Spider-Man, he was here to save you. It's some great lines from him, and it's awesome.
But I like at the end when he gets put in prison, and then somebody else who's another villain says, oh, I've heard you know the identity of Spider-Man. And he's like,
no.
But wait a minute, my daughter likes him, and I'm in here where I cannot protect her. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to lie and say, no, I don't know who he is.
If I did, I would have killed him.
Yeah. So I like that
right.
because he's still in that mindset of, I have to take care of my family. Mm-hmm. So Peter is close enough to my daughter where it could be danger for her, and I don't want to put her in danger.
Yeah. Good movie. Fun times.
Yeah, I'm anxious for the next installment of Spider-Man.
Yeah. That's scheduled for next year in summer. That's when it's scheduled for, at least.
Yeah, I mean, when they did another reboot, I was like, oh, not another reboot.
Not another.
Spider-Man Homecoming is the best of all of them, I think.
Original Spider-Man 2. It's fantastic.
How can it be original if it's number 2? I know.
I mean, the original second one, not the Amazing Spider-Man 2. The original Spider-Man series. Yeah. The second one.
All right. I'm following you now.
I will.
That's the one with Doc Ock, and it's, what's that kid's name?
Tobey Maguire?
Tobey Maguire. See, I keep blanking on all the actual actors in these things. Because he's such a dork. Which he plays
But that's
really
what
well.
makes it good.
Oh, I know. He's a science nerd. I mean, that was the whole point of Peter Parker's persona. Wow, that's a hard sentence. Peter Parker's persona is that he's a science geek. And then he gets bitten by the spider, and then he becomes superhuman, and he has all these added abilities.
I'll tell you why Spider-Man 2 is the best after this, but because I'm going to rant. Next one's Ragnarok.
Ragnarok. That was one of the best movies ever, because it included a lot of action. It had a lot of funny things.
And Jeff Goldblum. You put Jeff Goldblum in it, and that makes it good instantly. Yeah. I don't even care what he does. It's Jeff Goldblum.
And he wasn't really the villain. He was the secondary villain, but he was hilarious.
I pardon you from life.
Yeah. Oh, we have a champion.
Contest of champions.
Yes. He was great, and every character in that film was great. I like Korg, who's in the dungeon as one of the gladiator types.
The rock guy.
Yeah.
He has some great moments.
I'm Korg. I'm here to talk to you today. Welcome. Probably be dead in an hour, but welcome anyway. Yeah, he was fun.
I need to fight the grand champion to get up here. Oh, last time I fought the champion, his name's Doug. He's over there. Oh, hi, Doug. Oh, wait, Doug's dead.
Doug's dead, yeah.
Doug's dead.
And that was actually the director of the film who did that voice.
Yeah, who did the voice.
He's a cool guy. But then the main villain in that one. In Hela.
By Kate Blanchett.
Who is death. She is freaking scary.
Yeah, she does some great stuff on Asgard.
Scary. I mean, yeah, as far as villains go, she's got to be near the top of the universe.
Yeah, she just brutally kills a bunch of people instantly.
Yeah, it's like, well, I'm the goddess of death, so I'll prove it by killing people. See, and that makes sense for her character, where Ego from Guardians of the Galaxy 2 doesn't. It's like, she's evil, and we know it, and she's going to kill you because she can. Mm-hmm. And she does it so that everybody else will like, okay, yes, we'll do what you want us to do. Mm-hmm. Ego didn't do it for me, but she does. It's like, okay, Hela, scary villain.
Yeah.
Scary villain. And even the fact that she cuts out Thor's eye, it's like, wow. He's invulnerable to everything, you know?
Yeah.
I mean,
for like the rest of these films, huge. He barely takes a hit.
Yeah.
And if he does, he like walks it up.
Kick his butt. And it's like, wow. That's a scary villain woman. Mm-hmm.
That, and then she has the giant wolf that Hulk fights there at the end.
Right.
Which is a fun water fight where he throws it off the waterfall.
And then he breaks its jaw and rips it off. I'm like, yeah, Hulk, come on, kick some butt.
And then I guess the third tier villain of the giant flame dude from the beginning.
Yes.
And then
And see, that movie started out so much fun because Thor's making fun of this guy. It's like, wait, I'm spinning on this chain.
I can't see you.
Hold
on.
And then you're ranting about something. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's just making fun of it, even though this guy's big and scary. And Thor's like, I can take him. I know I can take him. And you're like, yeah, Thor can take him. So when Hela shows up, it's like, yeah, Thor can take her.
Oh, no. Oh, gosh.
She destroyed his hammer. What? Yeah.
And he punched him out of the Bifrost into like no man's land.
Yeah. But overall, a wonderful film. And the villainous.
Yeah.
Wow.
Good fun.
Yeah.
And then our last film to round out this segment, Killmonger from Black Panther.
He was a good villain with a weird twist. Okay, so I get why he's Killmonger. I get that he's like, oh, I'm training, I'm going to kill all these people, I'm going to join the special forces in the army and do all this stuff. And I understood all of that. What I didn't understand was how he got to be king of Wakanda, having never grown up there. And I understand that his dad was the brother of the king, and so he did have a birthright.
Yeah.
I do understand that. But again, it's like, dude, you're 10 years old. Let it go. Get a life. And he's got these little dots all over him like,
These are all my kills.
These are the marks for everybody I've killed. And he takes his shirt off and you're like, you've killed thousands and thousands of people. Yeah, it's all practice for today where I get to kill Black Panther. And it's like, dude, get a hobby. Get a girlfriend. Do something, you know?
He did have a girlfriend. And then Claw killed her.
Well, there you go. I thought he was a great villain. Mm-hmm. But I think he took it too far with the whole revenge thing. So, which is weird because that's what made him a villain.
Yeah.
But as far as his military training and his background, it was like, yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. If you'd applied yourself to something else, maybe you could have been the head of a corporation. Maybe you could be king of Wakanda. Maybe, I don't know, you'd do something better with your life.
He could be like a military chief or something.
Yeah, I don't know. He could start his own little country somewhere.
Yeah, my own mini Wakanda, just
drug
off the
lord
coast.
Or something. You know, he could have done so
drug
much.
lord.
Yeah, these guys have power.
I love how you just go to drug lord.
I don't know.
Apply yourself. Be a businessman. Be a drug lord. They're both the same.
Yeah, well, it's all about the money.
Yeah. What?
I mean, at least Claw was an arms dealer, so if he made sense to join Claw or take over Claw's business, that would have made more sense to me than him saying, okay, now I'm going to be king of a country I've never visited that I know very little about, but what the heck, I can be king because
But he needs to take care of everyone.
But he doesn't.
But he's going to send them weapons so he can.
Oh, right, but he wants to arm the rest of the world. So there is an uprising against who? We don't want to say it, do we?
Oppressed people.
The oppressed people can rise up against... So it's the 99 percenters again.
I guess.
If we're going back to Wall Street and that kind of stuff. So it's like, yeah, I want to be rich and in control so I can send weapons to the lower classes so that they can take over and we can all be equal.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
yeah, that's the plan.
So
you just said the plan.
I did. So there he is. He's a good villain and a weird villain to me.
Some people think he's one of the best.
Really?
Some people like him more than Loki.
Oh, no.
Just because, his plan is so relatable. And I don't get that.
Maybe that's because we're not oppressed. I don't know. It's like life isn't perfect, but we're not, like, in the gutter. I don't know.
Maybe, I don't know.
Could be. I don't know. That's all I've got to say on that.
That's all we got to say on that.
So, yeah, that takes us to Wakanda, which... Again, Black Panther, everybody's saying, oh, the greatest of the MCU films. Well, it was good, but it wasn't great.
Yeah.
It's better than some. It's not as good as others. That's all
I feel like it's a very middle of the MCU.
It's definitely middle ground. Yeah.
It has its moments, and then it doesn't.
Yeah, it's... I don't know. It's better than Iron Man 2.
Is that saying anything?
Better than Thor 2. But it's right in there, you know? It's like, It's at the top of that level. You know, for me. So it's like, okay, Civil War was much better.
Well, yeah.
Iron Man 1 was better. Iron Man 3 was about the same.
Yeah, those are on the same level.
It's probably about even keel with that. But then Civil War, much better. Avengers, both movies, much better.
Winter Soldier,
much better.
First Guardians.
Doctor Strange, much better. Guardians 1, much better. So there's a lot in there.
Yeah.
I mean, that's at least 6, 7 movies that are
out of
high
18.
In my opinion.
Yeah. I get that.
Okay. So
all right. And that rounds up our villain discussion.
We're going to get comments on that. I know everybody else is going to say, oh, no, it was the best. And here's why. Great. Go ahead.
That's fine.
Leave us a comment.
Moving into our main topic. Infinity War came out last week.
And we got to see it.
And this is going to be our review. Don't worry. This first part is no spoilers. We're going to avoid all spoilers. Time code is at the bottom in the description where we do go into spoilers. And we'll give you a heads up here as well.
But we're not going to ruin every single thing.
Oh, okay.
I hope not. I don't know.
Oh, are we? Or not? Okay, I'll delete.
We'll see. Okay, and we'll give away the ending now. No.
So no spoilers from...
Just kidding. Okay, what do you want to say
this
first?
Part. First off, you want to give a brief synopsis of what happened? Or just, not what happened, no. Just the plot. What is the story here?
So the story is there are 6 Infinity Stones in the universe, and Thanos has decided that he wants all of them.
Yeah.
Because he sees injustice in the universe. It's kind of going back to what we just said about Black Panther.
Yeah.
And so he figures the only way to get justice in the universe is to wipe out half of it, and the only way you can do that is by having all of the 6 Infinity Stones, which are power,
Space,
reality, time.
mind, and soul.
Yeah. Okay,
We
so
got
there
him.
you go.
Teamwork.
We got him. I'm counting them on my fingers.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing.
I'm like, I don't have 6 fingers. Where am I going to
No,
go?
the sixth one goes in the middle.
Oh, right. It's on the back of your hand. Okay, so
It's all right.
so he gets this. He has somebody build him a gauntlet
Yeah.
that allows him to control these stones. How he's able to control them outside of that, I don't know. But
the point
with
of the
gauntlet,
story
he can do it. So
is this movie is his mission is to collect the stones. Avengers are trying to stop him. That's the story.
and we know that at least 2 of the stones are with 2 of the Avengers. So
yeah, because we've seen them before.
Doctor Strange has the time stone in his little green thing on his chest, his medallion, and then Vision has the
Mind Stone in his head.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's gonna cause some problems.
That's going to cause a lot of problems. So we know that there will be a fight, and we know that the Avengers are involved.
So yeah, they're just trying to stop him. Moving on from synopsis before we start spoiling stuff.
Okay, so I haven't spoiled anything yet.
Yeah,
All we know
Thanos
is-
as a villain, just in general, did you like him as a villain? Do you think he had like a good motivation?
I did. Again, Loki's a better villain, which is probably why he used Loki
In the first Avengers.
in the first Avengers movie.
Again,
to
not a
go out
spoiler. That's in the film.
Yeah,
Of the first Avengers movie,
and Loki has a meeting with him, and he's like, "Okay,
which is in the trailer.
I'm just going to sit in my big chair." Yeah, again, no spoilers.
Yeah, I just want to point stuff out. Like we're not spoiling stuff.
I'm just going back in time
Yeah.
to the first Avenger movie. So, yeah, Thanos is instructing Loki, go out and take over Earth, and I'll let you rule Earth. But you got to get control of it.
Yeah.
So he's still on the same mission, and he's decided to do it himself.
Yeah.
But I think Loki was a better villain. I mean, the thing that Thanos has going for him as far as villainousness is he's gigantic.
And he's super powerful.
Well, he's super powerful. I don't know how he got that power. I don't know if he's just been working out a lot, or if it's the planet he's from, or what.
There's supposed to be a book coming out at the end of this year that goes more into his backstory, just in general, just like his life before the films and stuff.
Well, what I got from it is that everybody who's ever met him is scared of him.
Yeah.
But he's not that scary looking a dude. I mean, I look at Hela and I'm like, dang, she is scary looking and she's scary acting. He just shows up and says, well, I'm Thanos, so I'm going to intimidate you. And everybody's like, oh no, run away. So as far as being a villain goes, I think he could have been scarier, more intimidating.
I can kind of see that.
I only got that he's intimidating because the characters who interacted with him said, he's scary, he's intimidating. It's like, well, that's only because you said that.
But he does some scary and intimidating things as well.
He does.
Throughout the movie.
He does. And
So-
he has help.
I think he's one of the better villains, like at least top 5, I think.
Okay.
That's in my opinion. I don't know. I
can get there, yeah.
I liked him.
I can get to top 5, but he's got to be at the bottom of that top 5.
Yeah, no, yeah.
Loki's a much better villain. Mm-hmm. And I think Hela's a much better villain. So I got 2 ahead of him at least.
Yeah. But
he's kind of on that Obadiah Stane thing from the beginning. He's a scary dude because he's got so much power.
yeah.
And that's what Obadiah was. And I think he's probably on even keel with him.
Okay.
So yeah, I could see him 3 or 4 in that top 5.
Yeah. The fight scenes in the movie are really good.
Wow. Yeah, blown away by this.
The CGI is incredible.
Well, you take all the CGI from Doctor Strange and then you incorporate it into this.
And throw every character you have at it.
Yeah.
And it somehow works. And I don't know.
It totally works, even with all, these egos and who's in charge and who's going to lead what group.
Yeah.
And it works.
Yeah. But the fight scenes, they're easy to understand. Like, we follow them fairly well. It's easy to understand the action on screen. And each character gets at least a moment to shine, I'd say.
Oh, yeah. They do. They all have.
Yeah.
They all have something.
Everyone has at least something they got to do.
Yeah. Yeah, there's nobody in the background on this.
Yeah. Well,
okay, there's kind of somebody in the background. We'll get to that in a minute.
Yeah.
But everybody has a moment.
Yeah. That's the main thing. Everyone's got their thing.
Yeah, and I mean, for as many people as are in this, because you've got all of the original Avengers. So you've got Black Widow, you've got Iron Man, you've got Captain America, Vision shows up. You now
Hulk's
have
in
Scarlet
there.
Witch.
Black Panther's in there. Spider-Man.
Yeah, Doctor Strange.
Winter Soldier. Falcon.
All the Guardians of the Galaxy. So
All
there's another
that.
5 of them, plus
Mantis and Nebula.
Nebula. I was going to say Gamora, but she's already in it. So yeah. And then her sister Nebula.
Yeah.
And it seems like we're pulling people left and right all over the place.
Yeah, everyone's...
And you're thinking, there's no way you're going to be able to follow all of these characters, but you can.
Yeah, and...
I mean, it's no wonder it's a long movie, but it makes sense.
And part of that is the direction, but I also want to credit a lot of that to the writing as well, with how they sorted things out that way.
Yeah. Yeah, well written, well played out.
Mm-hmm. How do you think it compares to the other MCU films in general?
In general, it's right up there for me.
Right up there? Yeah.
I mean, I liked all the Avengers movies, no question. It's up there with the Avengers movies.
Yeah, it's good, and it's...
I mean, my top 5, it's going to be all of the Avenger movies and Doctor Strange and probably Iron Man 1. And this is somewhere
in that.
I can't say this is
the
very top.
I want to see it
also
a couple more times before I can rank it, I feel.
Because it's so complex, too. I mean, there's a lot going on within this story.
Yeah. But good movie. Really good movie.
Fantastic movie. It's no wonder it did $600 million opening weekend. Very highly anticipated.
Do you suggest people see it in theaters, or do you...
Yeah, it's like, sure, I'm going to get a DVD copy or a digital copy or both, but see it on the big screen, definitely.
Yeah. I feel like this is...
You get the full experience on the big screen because you've got the movie theater sound, and I know you can do that in your living room, but you definitely get it full picture in your face. This is what's happening now. Yeah. And it draws you in. And I like films where you get drawn in. I don't know where I am in that, being drawn in. I mean... I'm going to tangent for a second. And when
go ahead.
I saw Lethal Weapon, I'm going to go to Lethal Weapon 2.
Okay.
So there's Martin Riggs.
This seems just like a weird segue.
It's a weird segue, yeah. So Lethal Weapon 2, Martin Riggs, they talk about the South Africans coming over, and he's trying to battle them, and then you find out that the South Africans killed his wife. Okay, so big spoiler from Lethal Weapon 2. But this movie's 30 years old. So if you've seen it, great. If you haven't seen it, what are you waiting for? I could relate to that, and it drew me in. And by the end, and granted, I went to the movie on my own. Yeah. But by the end, I felt what Martin Riggs was feeling. Okay. And so it's like I had the same emotional connection that character did to say, well, how would I feel if I found out this guy killed my wife? I'm going to go take him out, you know? This guy killed my family, he took my wife. And he laughed in my face about it. I'm angry about that. Yeah. Okay, so here's my point. Is Infinity War, it draws you in, but I didn't have quite that emotional connection because I wasn't one of those characters. Okay. But it was a fun time that I enjoyed watching, and I will watch it again. Mm-hmm. And I highly recommend it on the big screen. But I didn't have quite the emotional connection to a single character that I would have had with, let's say, a Lethal Weapon.
Or less characters.
Yeah. And yeah, I mean, it has moments where it draws emotion, definitely.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think that's going to do it for our non-spoilers. So we're going to move into a spoiler section. Going to give you guys a quick countdown.
Spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert. 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, all right. We're in spoilers. We're new people now. Whew. You want to just talk about some of your favorite moments in the film in general? Just like fun little moments that you had or that stuck out?
Okay, so here's a big spoiler. The Avengers break up into different teams. Yeah. And so the dynamics of each team are so
well done.
Interconnected. I mean,
it's so great.
So you've got Iron Man with Doctor Strange with Spider-Man. Uh-huh. And they get on this flying space donut thing. Their dynamic together. You've got the newbie, which is Spider-Man, who's still learning about what he's supposed to be doing and what his responsibilities are. But he has powers.
Yeah. So he's kind of naive about them, too. He's like, so what can I do to help out? It's like, dude, you're Spider-Man. Web people up. Yeah. You know what?
It's like, what are you thinking for? Just act. Yeah. You know, go out and do your job. And then you've got the sarcasm and the... What's the word I'm looking for? he doesn't believe it. Iron Man.
Yeah.
He's like, so you're a sorcerer, talking to Doctor Strange. He's like, so you do magic tricks. And he doesn't believe that he has any real power.
Yeah.
Until he starts seeing it, and it's like, oh,
man.
that's what we're talking about.
This guy's opening up portals and like...
Right. It's like, so abracadabra, how does that make you an Avenger kind of thing?
Yeah.
So there's some fun wit between them.
Yeah, and then you have two of the... you put Doctor Strange and Iron Man, two of the characters with the biggest egos in the entire MCU, and you put them together, and you just see what happens.
Yeah.
And it's hilarious.
It's a fun mix, and there's some cool stuff in their shots together.
Uh-huh.
So I like
especially when they're doing plans and stuff, where it's like, Iron Man's like, all right, here's my plan. Doctor Strange's like, no, that's not gonna work at all. Here's why, and here's why. It's like, well, do you have a better plan? And then Spider-Man's just in the back of me going, hey, guys.
Yeah.
You seen aliens?
How about we just do this? Yeah. Spider-Man comes up with a plan because he's seen a lot of movies.
Yeah.
And his plans seem to work. And everybody else doesn't think of that, which is fun because he's using different talents against these two geniuses.
Yeah.
And he's smart. I mean, he's a smart kid in his character. So why not?
Yeah. So near the beginning of the film, there's a fight in New York, and it blew me away. And I love how that's like in the first 15 minutes of the film. It just opens up, and we're in this battle with New York. We got Squidward and a giant dude. And there's a fight, and it's awesome. And they're just going all around the city blocks and stuff.
Yeah.
And that was just fun to watch. And it's just like, this is awesome.
So we have to explain that Squidward is one of the cronies.
Yeah, well,
Thanos.
if you've seen the movie,
yeah,
you know.
Yeah, and if not, then we're spoiling it.
Yeah, exactly. Squidward is the nickname that
Tony gives.
Gives the sorcerer dude.
I don't know what his actual character. He's one of the Dark Five or whatever.
Yeah, Children of Thanos.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's the speech-giving one. Where he's like, you will be blessed by the children of Thanos. That's not his voice at all. But
no. But he's a nut. He's a fun character. For a villain, I actually liked him.
Yeah.
Because you weren't sure what he was going to do next, and he seemed to have magical powers. I mean, he was conjuring stuff from everywhere. So
yeah, he was a fun minor villain, I think.
Yeah. I think he's my favorite minor villain from that grouping.
Yeah. That's because no one else gets to do it.
I know. And then, let's see.
Thor and the Guardians meeting is an awesome moment.
That's cool. I like that, especially when they're calling him the Pirate Angel because he has a patch over one eye where he lost his eye.
Yeah.
And then he's so beautiful because he's built.
He's so beautiful.
There's some great comedy where they're making fun of Star-Lord.
Yeah.
Because it's like, well...
And then he
deepens
like,
his
voice.
I'm buff. And he's like, no, you're not. You're not buff. You're one sandwich away from being fat.
And then he like deepens his voice to sound like Thor. And he's like, what? This is my normal voice.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, he did it again. No, I didn't.
Yeah, that teaming up was great. And then even then, they break apart.
Yeah.
And it's Thor and Rocket. And those two as a team are
Thor, Rocket, and
phenomenal.
Groot.
Yeah. It's like, there's your team right there. Forget the rest of the Guardians. There's the team.
Yeah.
It's Thor and Rocket and Groot.
Which is kind of sad, because then Cap's team is the last one. And they're kind of the weakest.
They are, but they're on Earth. I mean, everybody else, they're kind of floating around in space and doing
Doing
things
their
out
own thing. And these guys are just...
they have to defend the universe.
Yeah, they gotta defend Vision. Like, that's their job.
Right, because he's got the last stone.
Yeah.
Or one of the stones, or whatever we're calling it.
Yeah, he has the Mind Stone. So they just, like, take him to Wakanda, and they're like, all right.
Put up the shields.
Put up the shields. Our job is to protect him. Meanwhile, everyone else is, like, in space having fun adventures, and these guys are just guarding.
With major weapons, yeah. And these guys are like, okay, we'll just hang out, and we've got our weapons.
We'll wait.
It's great that Bucky's there. So Captain America's there, and Bucky's there. He's now no longer the Winter Soldier. He is the White Wolf.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what Wakanda...
Another cool nickname for him.
I know,
like, so you get the Black Panther and the White Wolf. I sense a theme.
Color and an animal? Is that the theme?
That's the theme, yeah. What do they call Captain America? Blue something. I don't know. Red, white, and blue something. Anyway.
The Blue Eagle, because America.
Yeah, Eagle. Yeah. That would be a good one. Okay.
Sorry. It's not in the movie, but...
It's not. We're just ad-libbing here.
We're just ad-libbing. We're having fun.
No, it's cool because the rest of the Avengers are there, including Banner, who has a hard time becoming the Hulk. which is its own little plot. I mean,
Yeah.
it's a fun thing because he's got conflict within him now, where he wants to be angry and be the Hulk, and the Hulk doesn't want to come out and play.
Yeah. Which there's reasons, like, some people are trying to come up with reasons for that. Where it's like,
It's an
oh,
obvious reason.
Hulk got beaten. Or, like, hey, he has, like, the mindset of, like, a 3-year-old now. Hulk does.
He's scared. It's
Yeah.
the first time in his life he's ever been scared because somebody beat him.
It's like he has the mind of a 3-year-old. And 3-year-olds have tantrums. So he's just having a big tantrum about fighting Thanos. That's one theory that I found.
Yeah, well, at the beginning of the film when we see it, it's like they stick the Hulk on Thanos.
And he lasts 2 minutes.
Yeah,
top.
and he gets knocked out cold. And it's like, this is a creature who has never fought and lost.
Yeah.
And we saw that in the Ragnarok film.
Yeah. The
It's
only
like,
way he lost
he
is because
the champion.
Thor blew up lightning everywhere.
Yeah. It's like he can take on any comer and he will beat them to a pulp and he gets wiped out. And it's
Yeah.
like he barely gets one hit on the guy.
Yeah, he's just like attacking viciously and Thanos just block, bam,
And he's
bam,
knocked out.
done. And it's like,
So
oh!
now, it's like that's going to affect you mentally and say, I'm scared. I don't want to fight this guy again.
Yeah.
He beat me and I'm unbeatable. Mm-hmm. So what does that tell me? It tells me don't fight this guy. So I can see where Hulk's scared. That's my theory on it. I
Yeah.
mean, I'm sure there's, like you said, there's other people coming up with things, but he's terrified now. He's like,
Yeah.
if I show up, this guy's going to kick my butt. Mm-hmm. So I'm not going to show up, which doesn't help Banner at all. But there's some fun stuff with that.
Yeah. The first big spoiler I want to go into, the Soul Stone scene.
Oh, yeah. Great scene.
What a surprise with Red Skull showing up.
Yes. Yeah. So Thanos goes to the planet where this
Soul
Soul
Stone.
Stone is kept, and he's got Gamora with him, and then there's some kind of keeper of the stone who has knowledge of what it is and how to get it.
Mm-hmm. And then he takes off his hood, and it's Red Skull.
It's Red Skull, and I thought that is so cool they brought this guy back. Mm-hmm. It's not the same actor, which is a shame.
Yeah.
But again, the character is there, and he's mellowed because he's been in space
forever.
and he's been alone
He's been in space
since the
40s.
Yeah, so he's like coming up on 100
70 years
Yeah.
or whatever. Because he says it's like, I've spent a lifetime guarding this stone.
Yeah.
And no one's here.
And when he first learned about the Infinity Stones, he said, I'm going to get them for myself, and I'll keep Hydra going, and I'll destroy the universe. Mm-hmm. Or rule it. I mean, again, I can see his point of view saying, I'm going to rule the whole thing and enslave everybody. But he's unable to do that because he doesn't have the power to get that stone himself.
Mm-hmm. But the Soul Stone scene also leads to probably one of the most affecting deaths, I think, in the film.
Yeah.
Because to get the Soul Stone, you have to trade the soul of a loved one and like throw him off this cliff.
It's a soul for a soul.
Uh-huh. And it has to be someone you love. And as Paul said, Thanos is there with Gamora,
Who is his
the
daughter.
only person he loves.
It's his adopted daughter. And even though he destroyed her planet, he adopted her, and she may never love him, but that doesn't mean he doesn't love her. And so that's very sad when she meets her end.
Because he's like, I have to do it for the universe. And just whoop.
And she doesn't see it coming.
No,
Red
not
Skull,
really.
Red Skull sees it coming, and I saw it coming.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh no, this is going to be bad.
And then she's just laughing at him, going like, ha, you've been stopped because you can't love people.
Yeah, you don't love anything or anyone.
And it's like, oh, got him.
Well, and a great character arc again for Thanos because he's actually crying. And she's like, you're crying because you don't realize...
Because you've lost.
You realize you can't win.
And it's like,
and Red
no.
Skull turns to her and he's like,
That's not
crying.
why.
Yeah, he's not crying for that reason.
It's like...
And we're all going in the audience like, it's because of you, oh no! And then she dies.
Yeah.
Sad. Okay, the big spoiler. So yeah.
Yeah. I just wanted to talk about the Soul Stone scene because
it's a really powerful scene. It is.
Do you want to talk about Star-Lord or not?
I'm going to say no.
No.
If you want to, we can see where it goes.
Very briefly, I do. Because it's been bugging me because people are like, so this is near the end of the film.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I know where you're going.
Yeah.
I thought you were going somewhere else.
No. So there's the plan to get the gauntlet off of Thanos.
Yes.
So it's the Iron Man, Doctor Strange, Spider-Man team meeting with the rest of the Guardians because Rocket and Groot are with Thor. And they're making a plan. And it's like, all right, Strange went to the future with the Time Stone and saw 14 million possibilities and said there's one we succeed.
Yes.
Cut to them executing this plan, or trying to,
Yes.
of getting the gauntlet off. And then Star-Lord finds out about Gamora's death, which we just talked about, and he flips out and starts just attacking Thanos, and it ruins the plan.
It does, because in the meantime, two of them have almost got the gauntlet off of him. Spider-Man's holding him, and Doctor Strange is holding him, and Tony's pulling at the glove, and somebody else. And...
It's Tony and Spider-Man and the Cloak of Levitation are pulling the glove.
Yeah.
Doctor Strange is like using magic to keep his other hand down,
so he can't move it and he can't punch.
And then Mantis is just keeping him in a sleepish state.
Right, but so he's sort of meditating. She's got him at least
down
under control.
Yeah. And then Star-Lord just stands in front of him and goes like, "Where's Gamora at?" And it's like, "Oh, I'm sorry."
And he loses it.
It bugs me because people are like, "Oh my gosh, they ruined the one shot at saving the universe. Way to go, Star-Lord. Yeah, messed it up for everyone." No. Quit being stupid. No.
Because what we've already seen is that Doctor Strange has seen 14 million different outcomes. Mm-hmm. And this is the one that they've chosen because it's the one that will work.
It's like if the only way to get to work was this gauntlet plan, then Doctor Strange would have got the cloak to fly him away or open a portal to send him like a mile away or something.
He would have done something, yeah.
But Doctor Strange sits there and lets it happen. It's part of the plan.
It is. And Thanos comes out of his trance, punches out Star-Lord, gets away from everybody else, and actually stabs Tony Stark. He stabs Iron Man.
Yeah.
And that's when Strange steps in and says, "Don't kill him."
Yeah.
He's like, "I'll give you the last." Everybody knows by now. We're spoiling, so I'll give you the last stone,
or one of the last ones,
as long as you don't kill him.
It's one of because Visions is the last.
That's right. Visions is the last one. So he says, "I'll give you the Time Stone as long as you keep Tony Stark alive."
Yeah.
And I'm thinking Tony Stark's already dead at this point. He got stabbed. It's bleeding out. He's pretty wounded, but they make the deal.
And then the nanotech.
Yeah, from his suit starts healing him. Yeah. So I find that very interesting, and obviously Doctor Strange has seen this outcome.
Mm-hmm. Because as soon as Thanos leaves through his space portal, he's like, "We're in the end game now."
Right.
He has a plan, guys. It's fine.
Yeah, Doctor Strange has seen the future. He knows the plan. He knows that in order for things to happen the way they're supposed to so that they can win, Tony Stark has to live. And in order for him to live, it means he has to give up the stone.
Which is funny, because he was one of the only people to have read the script from the cast.
Benedict Cumberbatch.
And he knows
Yeah. And he was sworn to secrecy, and now his character knows the outcome, even though the rest of us don't, and the rest of the characters in the MCU don't. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So that's very telling.
I just wanted to bring it up.
Well, there will be thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of theories as to what could have happened differently and what should have happened differently and why they did it the way they did it.
Yeah.
But if we look at the facts are Doctor Strange went into the future. Doctor Strange saw the outcome that worked. Doctor Strange made a very, very definite plea to save Tony Stark. He knows that this is the key to it.
He knows there's a way.
So even though Star-Lord screwed it up,
I don't think he did
to happen that way.
I don't think Star-Lord screwed it.
No, he didn't. He didn't. He did what he was supposed to do at that moment in time. That's what I'm getting from it. Every other outcome didn't work out. The one that does is the one that we're in. And that's why Doctor Strange says what he says. Like you said, he mentions we're in the end game now. He knows the outcome. He knows what's supposed to happen next. So even though the movie ends at that point, well, shortly thereafter.
Yeah. Like 15 minutes later.
Yeah. Then we know that there's a sequel coming. We know that it's going to be important to what's happened right now, and it's going to pick up hopefully right there.
That's the That's what I've heard, is that picks up almost immediately.
Yeah, we just have to wait another year. Thank goodness it's only a year.
Instead of 3.
Instead of 3.
Like the other Avengers movies.
Right. So look for that in 2019. I believe it's May. Yeah, same time.
Couple more points. What were some of the deaths that surprised you or affected you the most?
Wow. Well, Gamora's death definitely affected me because I like her as a person, as a character.
As a person.
No, I thought she was really cool. So when she died, I was saddened. That one hit me the hardest.
Really?
Yeah. And then I realized that she's not the only one.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, she was pretty much the first one. I'm like, this is a major icon character. You can't kill her.
Yeah.
Especially being Thanos' own daughter.
Mm-hmm.
Why would he do that? And then it happened. That one hit me hard.
A bunch of people are upset about Loki at the beginning.
The beginning, I
3 minutes in,
I was
Loki's
surprised
gone.
by Loki's death, but at the same time, I got over it. I actually thought they were going to kill Thor, even though I'd seen the previews and I'd seen. I was like, because they make it appear that Thor's dead.
Yeah.
Especially when the ship blows up and he's floating through space, and then boom, here come the Guardians. He lands on the windshield.
Mm-hmm.
And until he opened his eye, I was like, oh, okay. But I'd seen other scenes, and I didn't think of the trailers where I've seen him talking to the Guardians.
Yeah, it was just like...
So I'm like, I should have known that he'd live, but I was more freaked out that he was dead, even though Loki's
Especially
really dead.
after Ragnarok, where now he's likable.
Yeah, exactly.
Now he's one of my favorites. He's awesome now.
It's like, ooh, the eye patch. Now you're a badass, you know?
Language.
Oh, thanks, Cap.
It's fine. We're good.
Yeah, so I honestly thought he was dead. Loki's death surprised me, but when you heard the crunch, then you knew it was over.
Yeah.
And it was like, oh, okay. Well, there's lots of other characters left, so harsh. Especially since the trailers made it look like he was going to join forces with Thanos.
Yeah, a little bit.
Didn't. He didn't.
There's a reason there's no other footage of it.
Yeah, exactly. Other surprising deaths. Spider-Man's death.
Yeah.
That was a shock.
So, we're in spoilers.
Yeah.
Thanos does the snap. Half the universe gets wiped out. And Spider-Man, because of his spider sense, I think, knows that he's going to die there.
Right, and he had
just like a few seconds before. And he's like...
longest deaths.
Mm-hmm. His was like 30 seconds. And it's brutal because it's this kid pleading for his life, and it's just...
And there's nothing you can do.
And it's all the music has gone out. There's no other sound. It's just him with Tony going, "Save me, please! I don't want to die." And it's like, oh my gosh.
And Tony feels horrible because, he didn't want him to go along on the mission in the first place.
Yeah.
And he told him to stay home, and he sent him the other suit so he could stay home, and he didn't.
Mm-hmm.
But now he's feeling responsible. He's the father figure here. And it's like, I'm training this kid. And obviously I screwed up and didn't train him right because he got killed.
Mm-hmm.
So it's on Tony now, and he feels that. And that was really heartfelt. I was also surprised by Winter Soldier's death. White Wolf.
Yeah, either one.
Either one.
I felt like his death was kind of funny, though, because he's just, Steve, and then he's gone.
Yeah. And it was like, but you just barely became a good guy, and you got the new arm, and now you're on the side of righteousness, or whatever we're calling it. And so then he dies. It's like, whoa.
Yeah.
Okay. Vision was predictable.
Vision was hilarious. That was one of my favorite parts. Is seeing him die twice in a row.
Yeah.
Because Scarlet Witch blows him up, and then Thanos is like, oh, noble effort. Turns back time and just rips the stone out of his head and kills him 2 times in a row.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, that was good. I don't like Vision, I'm sorry.
But I like Paul Bettany.
No, he's an awesome actor. He's great.
And I like him as Jarvis.
I just don't like Vision.
Jarvis is awesome. I was very surprised by Black Panther's death.
As well,
because they made such a big deal about him being a solo movie, and then he shows up, and it's like, oh, this guy's going to be this force to be reckoned with, this great character, and then poof, he's gone.
Yeah.
And I was like, wait a minute, he's on his home turf, and you wiped him out. So that one was surprising.
Mm-hmm. So that cast segues really nicely into our last point for this.
Okay.
Where do you think they're going to go?
Well, you pointed out to me, which I think is fascinating, that the original Avengers are all still alive.
Yeah. It's only the original crew.
It's only the originals that are left.
Handful of others.
Yeah, so you've got the Wakandan princess warrior person.
Yeah, War Machine.
Still left. War Machine's there.
Nebula, and Rocket.
Yeah, and then everybody else. It's Captain America, Iron Man,
Hulk,
Hawkeye,
Black Widow.
Is that all of them?
And Thor. Yeah,
and Thor. Yeah. So you've got your original Avengers. I think that's fascinating. That's the original Avengers who are going to end up saving the day.
Yeah,
I assume.
It looks like Captain Marvel's going to come in and help too because of that end credit scene.
Yeah, and that was a cool end credit scene. And I was surprised again. Nick Fury got wiped out, and so did Miss Hill. I want to say
Maria.
Yeah. I was going to say Melissa Hill. I don't know. And I was like, oh, cool, these guys are finally in the movie. And then, poof, they're gone.
And then, poof, they're down.
I was like, oh, that's too bad.
Yeah, Hawkeye doesn't even show up. Which is a fun theory I've heard, is that in the next one, Hawkeye's family's going to be gone because of the snap, and that's why he comes back.
That would make sense to me. Yeah, it's like, or at least part of them.
Yeah.
Like his wife and one of his kids, or two of his kids, It's he has to come back and avenge them and say, I need to get them back if there's a way. Because he's retired and he's out of it. And then we don't know what's happening with Ant-Man because he didn't show up.
Yeah.
But he's also not an original, so will he show up?
I don't know.
That's an interesting question.
I think we'll learn more from Ant-Man 2.
I think we will, and that's coming up next month. Right?
Yeah,
June?
July.
Yeah, because we're into May now. So Ant-Man and Wasp is coming up, and we'll talk about that at a future date. Anything else you want to cover?
I think that's it.
We covered a lot of stuff.
We covered a lot of stuff.
So is Thanos a real bad guy villain? Yeah. He just wiped out half the universe.
He did a thing.
And if you're not listening to us, maybe you got wiped out too.
Oh, got him. There's a website that says that. It's just, you just pull it up, and it either loads one or two options. You were spared by Thanos, you were wiped out for the good of humanity.
Wow.
And that's it. It just randomly loads one of them.
Nice.
So yeah.
Well, that's the way to do it. Random.
That's random, perfectly balanced.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you for listening to our spoilers talk. We're going to finish this up just by talking about upcoming movies in May, and then we'll let you guys go.
And there are a lot of movies coming up this summer.
Yeah, there's a lot coming out this summer, but May only has two big ones.
All right.
The first one, Deadpool 2, on May 18th.
That's going to be huge. Now, I never did see the first one. I know. I don't know what I'm waiting for. So if you want to spoil that for me, go ahead.
I don't know it. What are you?
But that one's well anticipated. I mean, I know the first movie did really well, and it's going to be just as good from what I'm hearing.
Yeah, from what I've heard.
But I haven't seen it, so I'm assuming it's just as good.
I don't know.
But it should be good. What's the other movie coming up?
And then the last...
a lot of people excited for Deadpool, too.
Yeah. And then at the end of the month, on the 25th, Solo, a Star Wars story.
Still got mixed feelings on that.
I've got mixed feelings.
We talked about that a little bit last time, and...
I'm excited because of Lando.
Right.
Woody Harrelson's character.
Yep.
And Paul Bettany's playing the villain.
Yeah, I'm excited for all of that. And the actual Solo character, I have no clue what to think of him.
Yeah, it's like, I don't know.
Could be good, but I'm comparing him to Harrison Ford. I'm sure everybody is comparing him to Harrison Ford. Let's hope he can stand up to it. But Lando, I know he's going to do a great job.
Well, yeah, Lando looks great.
And Donald Glover is
just from the couple lines he's had in the trailer.
Yeah,
it's like
everything you've heard about me is true.
It's like, yep, all right, you're oozing Lando, and I like it.
He is. And Woody Harrelson is always good no matter what he's doing. He can play the good guy or the bad guy.
He's always fun to watch.
And I think he's a little of both in this. That's what I get. He's obviously a scoundrel. He's obviously the criminal element. But I think he's going to end up being a good guy. But he's got that mentality of being a scoundrel. Okay, we got to wrap up because I hear the garbage truck's coming along.
All right. Thank you guys for tuning in to Freezecast. My name's Jared.
And I'm Paul, and that's one in the can.
And that's one...
that's one in the garbage can.
Because the garbage... Okay, gotcha. All right. Anyway, thank you guys for tuning in. We'll be back here next month. And... all right. Have a good week.
Until then, enjoy the movies, and we'll see you there, maybe.
See you, maybe. I don't...
Yeah, we'll get some popcorn.
Cut. I don't...
Cut, we're out of here. Okay.
And we're done. Boom.
Spoiler alert.
Mic drop. What?